Okay, we're going to be tying the Donatello Cripple. Start with a TMC 100 dry fly hook in a size 18, and this is size 70 ultra thread in purple. We're going to wind that to the back of the hook. Put a base layer of thread on there. For the tail, we're going to use some wood duck, about 6 to 8 fibers. The wood duck's going to be about exactly the length of the shank of the hook, so what I like to do is lay it along the shank of the hook, switch hands, and that's where I tie it in at, so that you tie it in the same length every time. Then we're going to wind that about halfway up the shank of the hook. And the next part we're going to put on right away is we're going to put on the Cripple, the CDC front. And this is a natural dun from a mallard. Put one loose wrap, bring those Cripple fibers back to where you want the Cripple post to come out at. Then we're going to snip that CDC off right there. Okay, the next part we're going to do is we want to make sure that this fly is visible. We're going to put on some antron. So I like to use about, for this fly, you want to keep it a sparse fly, but this just adds a little bit of floatability and some visibility to the fly. So we're going to take about 10 fibers of purple spooled antron from Hairline, wind that along the full shank of the hook so that you have some coming right above the wood duck tail that we tied on already, and then the rest of it going just above the CDC, and you're going to leave a tiny gap between the CDC and the antron for later on, so we can make sure that the CDC stands up above the antron. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this antron to about half the length of the tail, or just a tad bit shorter. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take a turkey biot. This one is in olive. You see we use the long side, and the side that is curved up is the part that we want down on the hook. So we want the hump of the biot facing up, and pull that all the way to the back like that. Clip our little tag end. Then I really have gotten used to using this Stonefo hackle pliers for putting on these biots. It makes it so that you can really get exactly the segmentation with the biot that you want. I don't use the hackle pliers for hardly anything except for this, pretty much. So what I do is use that Stonefo. Just wind that up the shank of the hook. And then tie that off with a couple wraps. Then the next part of this fly is we're going to tie on a piece of hackle. What I like to do is take a grizzly saddle hackle, about slightly bigger than you would use for a standard dry fly, so that when we wind this on, the wings look almost like a spinner or a broken wing once we trim the bottom of the fly. For the dubbing, just because it's the perfect color, we're going to use Bruce Berry's fish dope, it's called, from Montana Fly Company. Just use a tiny bit of this. It winds on really tight and neat. It's Angora and hair in a purple color. Don't need a lot. So we're trying to keep this profile, this body thin like a mayfly. Not too much. Okay, then we're going to take 3 wraps of the grizzly hackle over the dubbing. 1, 2, yeah, that's a little too big. 1, 2, 3, and then on the 3rd wrap we're going to pull that antron, which is why we didn't cut it yet, up, and we're going to wrap the grizzly hackle in front of it. And then we're going to tie that off with 2 thread wraps to further make sure that we stand that antron up. Before we do anything else, we'll pull everything up, tie that off right underneath the eye of the hook. And that will help stand that cripple wing up as well. Do a quick whip finish. Cut off the grizzly. We're going to trim the antron to just above the CDC there. Pull out those weird fibers. We're going to trim the bottom, make it flush with the barb of the hook pretty much. And that's it. That's the Donatello Cripple.